Everyone wants to take their business, their skills, to the next level. Small and mid-sized business owners have exceptional insight into how to do this. They endure and thrive because they find ways to overcome the challenges that come their way, and they can teach us valuable lessons to apply to our own companies and lives. Stephen Nooner, founder and owner of Alkali, a company with a unique process that helps businesses more effectively buy and manage their insurance programs. And Bob Gibbons, builder of Riata Commercial Realty, a real estate advisor and tenant advocate, are two prominent Metroplex businessmen who, along with their weekly guests, will ask their and your probing questions, finding impactful solutions that will help you reach for the next level. Here are your hosts, Stephen Nooner and Bob Gibbons.
Welcome to The Next Level, conversations that propel business. This is Bob Gibbons.
And I'm Stephen Nooner. I'm excited to introduce our guest today. We have Alex Doubet, CEO of Door, with us. Door was founded in 2015 and currently employs 22 people. According to the Dallas Morning News, they are upending the way people buy and sell their homes. We're going to learn more about that today, but if you want to go deeper than what's on the show, please visit doorhomes.com. Welcome, Alex.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Appreciate you being here today. I've been looking forward to this. I've been following you in the media. You've done a lot of media, so thank you for coming to our little show.
Always happy to.
So we always like to start off with what we call wisdom of others, and today we're going to use your quote that you gave us, which has been attributed to a bunch of different people, Tom Jeffers, Stephen Leacock, Mark Twain, etc., Samuel Goldwyn. The harder I work, the luckier I get.
I've even heard Henry Ford said that. Thomas Jefferson said that. Who knows?
Has Alex Doubet said that?
I say it all the time. Yeah.
Well, that's the important thing, right?
Maybe 50 years from now they'll say variously attributed to Alex Doubet and Thomas Jefferson. And
Yes.
Well, wouldn't that be cool?
That'd be very cool.
So what is it about that you like?
The harder I work, the luckier I get. I think that obviously in every big endeavor there's an element of luck. There's an element of market timing. I mean, you may have read those studies. I think the plurality of the reason a business is successful is nothing other than timing. So that's completely out of your hands. Just right place, right time. Market goes that direction. But you read from the Dallas Morning News. I think that in retrospect was perhaps a company-making event. I mean, that front page article, we were on the front page June 1st last year, 2016. That I don't know that the company would have worked without that. And it was through a series of random coffees that came about. I met someone through one of our investors, I think it was. He introduced me to a lady named Cheryl Hall at the Dallas Morning News. Mm-hmm. I kept annoying her via email for a couple weeks and didn't hear anything back. And then one Sunday, I think it was, she said, "Hey, can you get lunch tomorrow?" So we got lunch. And if memory serves, I don't think she'd ever had an article on the front page. And we were expecting page 4 of the business section, if we were lucky.
Right.
And I woke up at 8:15 that morning, and my phone was bzz, 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 just buzzing, and just all these texts and messages were coming in, and there we were on the cover. And wasn't planning on it. Like I said, we thought page 4 of the business section maybe. But there we were, and it was kind of right place, right time, slow news day. I think Trump had said something probably a little bit less bombastic than usual. But he was at the top of the front page, but didn't take up the whole front page.
There you go.
And there we were. And, if we had not done some hard work leading up to that, I cold called people to get our first listings and things like that. But we'd actually transacted some homes by that point. And it was a good story. And I think a lot of journalists are kind of anarchists at heart, and they liked what we were doing, and there we were. I can't even imagine what the publisher's conversation was that night before they said print on the newspaper, but we were there.
For our audience that hasn't read the article, never heard of you guys before, what is it that's anarchist about what you guys are doing?
Yeah. So Door is a technology-enabled real estate brokerage for homes, residential brokerage. We charge a flat $5,000 at close, regardless of the price of the home. But really what we're building is a professional service with a flat fee. And our agents do about 7 times as many transactions as the average agent in North Texas. So the average agent does 3 deals a year. Our agents do 4 or 5 per month. And so what you get at Door is much better technology that lets our agents be more efficient, and you get a much more professional agent who has much more market exposure, much more experience negotiating, much more experience doing all these critical parts of the transaction. And the world has changed in terms of how people transact real estate. So if you buy a home with us, we give you back all the commission above $5,000. So there is this myth, this lie that drives me crazy that buyer's agents will tell people you don't pay for my services, and it's like the one magical service no one has to pay for, I guess. But of course that's not true. Your agent is being compensated 3% of the purchase price in almost every situation, and it's your money as the buyer. And so if you buy a $500,000 house, you're paying your traditional real estate agent $15,000 in the old-fashioned model. With our structure, we would give you back $10,000. So you're saving $10,000 on a $500,000 house, and you get a much better agent, etc.
So to be clear, real quick, when you say you charge $5,000, that's $5,000 per side. So if you're representing
Correct.
the seller, you only charge $5,000 to the seller. The buyer's agent would still get the 3%.
Yeah,
probably. If you're representing the buyer, you do the same. You get $5,000. The seller's
Correct.
agent gets whatever.
Yeah, so the structure is, and because people tend to do this transaction infrequently, it's a little bit mysterious at times, but it's 6% commission, 3% to each agent. So the seller's agent usually gets 3%, the buyer's agent usually gets 3%. And if you're selling a home with Door, we now we only work with people who are willing to offer 3% to buyer's agents. We're not trying to change anyone else's compensation. So the question comes up: are agents mad at what you're doing? And absolutely. Then we get frustrated. I hear frustrated and angry things all the time. I don't care. I just care that our clients are happy, and we're not trying to change anyone's compensation.
Well, discount brokerage is not a new concept.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of used as a pejorative term a lot.
It
And
is.
I don't like the term because I don't think we're discounting anything. I think you get much better service at Door. You get a much better agent, much better technology. And I always ask, when did $5,000 become not a lot of money to pay for something? That's a
Yeah.
lot of money. And in any other scenario in your life, if I plopped $5,000 in front of you, that'd be the best day all week.
Yeah, well, for our listeners, and I'm in the commercial real estate business.
Yeah.
I'm not in residential, never have been, but real estate commissions in the state of Texas are fully negotiable, first of all. So when people talk about 3%, 6%, those are sort of the quote, averages that people tend to use, but those are not necessarily the only option. So you can negotiate with your with your agent. Yes, I'm Steven's broker for commercials, so now he's thinking, ha. But in reality, though, these discount brokerages that are different than you, they've stripped away services to be able to charge way less.
Yeah, and that model has existed, and that's nothing new. And you're absolutely right. Now, I will add, in the MLS in North Texas, over 95% of listings offer 3%. So while
Right.
commissions are negotiable, they
reality.
very rarely are
Yes.
negotiated. It is very collusive pricing. And but to your point, the true discount brokerage, the flat fee, no service brokers, that's existed for a long time. I don't think that changes the market. That doesn't disrupt anything. What has not been built is a full service, professional service, flat fee brokerage, and that's what we're building. And I think $5,000 is a reasonable, fair amount of money to charge for the service. For people charging $500, $1,000, I don't know how they make any money.
They're just putting in the MLS, and they don't do a thing else,
Yeah.
I would assume.
Given our cost structures, at least, I don't think you can hire great people and provide great service charging $1,000. You just can't.
So whenever I look at a full service real estate broker who's been in the business 30 years and, he or she is, won all kinds of awards or whatever, they're quote full service. Is there anything that they're doing that your companies, your agents are not going to be doing because they're only charging $5,000?
Yeah. So first off, I would ask them what they're doing that we're not doing, because I'm always curious to hear that. But I now shy away from the term full service because it doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah.
Everyone puts their own meaning into what full service is.
Exactly.
And so that's why I try to say professional service whenever I can now. And the reason I don't like full service is I read once that something like 20-30% of real estate agents had walked their client's dog. And that will never be a part of our service offering. You mark my words, Door will never be walking our clients' dogs. hire a dog walker, and I promise you, you'll save a lot of money versus using an old-fashioned real estate agent. So full service doesn't mean anything. Professional service, however, I think denotes something a little different.
Well, and I think things are changing. I mean, we're in a weird space right now because, like, it seems in Dallas, I know it's like everyone I know is all of a sudden a real estate agent. And I don't know I mean, I guess it's just the market and the economy and all these people are jumping in, but they're all varied in levels of experience and they're all doing a different amount of transaction. But I can say, even with all of that, we have 7 properties, and of the 7 that we have found, only 3 of them did the agent find, right? With technology, only 3 of them. And that was actually Bob, because he found an investment opportunity for me where their tenants already existed. But all the other ones, I literally found, I called and I said, hey, I want to buy this house.
Yeah.
And so they
Just found money.
yeah. And one of them even charged me like a extra fee on top of the 3% to do some paperwork. And I could read, I'm not brilliant. I definitely didn't go to Harvard, but I can read the contract and I fill it out myself. So it was like, what is the value I'm getting here?
Well, to Bob's earlier question, what does an old-fashioned real estate agent who claims they're quote-unquote full service do that we don't do? I don't think there really are things that are truly valuable that they do that we don't do. We do the full professional service. So do you have a dedicated agent? Yes. Do you have someone negotiating for you? Yes. Is there someone to show you houses on the buy side? Yes. Is there someone who meets with you on the sell side? Yes. And I could go on and on and on. On the list side, we stage homes, we do professional photographs, we do a 3D model, the yard sign, the lockbox, put it in the MLS, negotiate for you. That's all $5,000 paid at close. But then to your point, the paradigm today, it's not unusual that you found those on your own. The majority of buyers last year, and this is home buyers, not commercial, the majority of home buyers last year found the home that they bought on their own. So real estate agents don't control that information anymore.
Yeah.
And I always joke, I mean, let's say you're buying $1 million home. Mm-hmm. And I've had friends who have bought $1 million or $1.5 million homes, and they didn't want to rock the boat with their quote-unquote family friend, and they went and paid her $45,000, and we would have saved them $40,000. And I always say you could go hire a partner at Baker Botts and a partner at PwC, and then hire Door, and then give your quote-unquote friend $2,000 gift for doing nothing, and you'd still come out ahead. So how does it make any sense to pay someone 3%? I don't understand it anymore.
Yeah, that is incredible. And I will tell you, in the commercial business, we see this kind of thing as well at times. And there's a lot of new technology coming along that's going to enable buyers or tenants to figure out how to do things on their own in a different way. So it's kind of cool.
What's the biggest threat to a business like Alex's who's threatening everyone else? Stick around as the answer might surprise you.
And now, Confessions of a Recovering Landlord.
This is Bob Gibbons with Riata Commercial Realty, and I am your recovering landlord. After 20 years as a landlord, I now use that experience only for the benefit of companies that lease or buy office buildings and warehouses. Today's confession: knowledge is power. We all negotiate from a position of power and strength, or at least we want to. In any negotiation, the party with the most knowledge probably has the upper hand. And landlords count on this being the case whenever you're negotiating a lease, because most landlords are professional real estate investors and they hire professional leasing agents and property managers. Landlords are in the market every day negotiating leases, while tenants probably only negotiate 1, maybe 2 leases every few years. So tenants feel outgunned. Don't let landlords have all the power. As a former landlord for 20 years, I understand how landlords think and what motivates them. So let me put that knowledge and experience to work on your side of the negotiation. To learn more, contact me at TexasTenantRep.com. Again, that's TexasTenantRep.com.
Have you started making plans to take your business to the next level in 2016? Hi, I'm Stephen Nooner, founder and CEO of Alkali. We have a trademark process called the Empowered Advantage that enables CEOs, business owners, and entrepreneurs to more effectively buy and manage their insurance. Before sitting down to make your plans for the new year, here are just a few things to consider. Would you say that you have an actual insurance strategy, one that you can articulate, or have you just purchased a policy here and there over the years? If you have an insurance strategy, was it discussed under the pressure of a renewal deadline or considered earlier in the year to avoid fire drill decision making? If your answer was no to either of these questions, then you may not have the right partner on your team. Visit alkaliservices.com to contact us and take the next step to a bigger and better future.
Hi, this is Craig Sheaf, straight off of my interview with Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert. And I finally arrived here with Steve and Bob. It's come to this.
Welcome back to The Next Level. We're here with our guest, Alex Doubet. He is the founder and CEO of Door, and you can learn more about Door at doorhomes.com.
So one of the things that was fascinating to me about your model is that it is threatening whether or not you said you're not trying to cause them to have to change. You're just trying to go a different way at it. But it's got to threaten a lot of agents, right? And so one of the things I know you mentioned was that there's some pushback or some misinformation gets spread. I mean, how do you deal with something like that?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I love about our model is I think it makes it better for all parties involved. We're saving our clients a lot of money. Year to date, we've saved our clients over $12,000. $12,000, a lot of money.
On average.
On average.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, that's not a very compelling case there, Alex.
No, I think
It's game changing.
I think we just passed $2 million in client savings total, something like that. But yeah, an average of $12,000. And on top of that, we give our agents full-time jobs with benefits, and we pay them more than what the average real estate agent makes, because being a traditional real estate agent is a terrible business. I mean, you're doing 3 deals a year, and the average home price is $350,000, call it, in DFW. So you're making, after your split, maybe $7,000 per deal. So you're making $20,000 a year.
Of course, to be fair, a lot of the people have licenses, never actually operate in the business. So
That's true.
Is that an average for the
so
average person who's actually active and full-time?
Depending on the source you look at, $30,000 to $40,000 is what the average real estate agent makes.
Yeah, I don't doubt that, actually.
And we pay our employees more than that. So I think it's a better job. And the misinformation that gets spread, I think, this is my theory, I think comes from a place of, I think deep down a lot of the old-fashioned real estate agents know that this change is coming. Mm-hmm. I think that if you got them behind closed doors and really looked them in the eye and asked them, has your job changed in the last 20 years? They would tell you absolutely yes, because the internet completely leveled the playing field. Mm-hmm. For all intents and purposes, a non-realtor can see exactly what a realtor can see in the MLS these days. Really, the most important line they can't see is the buyer agent compensation line. But 95% of the time it says 3%. So
can they look up comps, sold comps?
You can't, and that's another big one. But fact of the matter is, you can get pretty darn close.
Figure it out.
It's amazing to me. I sold a house for sale by owner, which
Mm-hmm.
is kind of funny because I am a broker, even though I don't do residential. But we did a for sale by owner. I had to disclose I was a broker, of course, and we did pay the buyer's agent.
Sure.
And this was like in 1994, I want to say. And people were like, well, can you do that? I was like, can I do what? And they said, can you sell a house on your own without a broker? I was like, you've got to be freaking kidding me. You don't know that you can buy or sell a house? You can buy every house in the world if you want to without a broker. And they were like, I didn't know that.
Well, I think a lot of the misinformation has been spread about Door is the classic one is you get what you pay for, right? You get what you pay for. Oh, discount broker. Oh, you get what you pay for. And going back to what I mentioned earlier, that always drives me crazy, because when did $5,000 become not a lot of money? I mean, what else in your life do you pay $5,000 for? A car, a house, obviously, major appliances, health issues. I mean, there are very few categories in which you could spend $5,000. So I really respect the amount of money that people pay us for the service, and I want to make our service better, and that really drives me. And I think the thing that is lost in the industry is when brokerages talk about their revenue going up, and they're great, clap each other on the back, our revenue's up year over year. Every dollar a brokerage makes is someone home equity dollars. And so when Door is growing, that means we're taking in more home equity dollars. When a brokerage is growing, that means they're taking in more home equity dollars. In the country, $60 to $70 billion of commissions are paid to residential real estate agents every year. Billion with a B.
Wow.
And those are people's home equity dollars. And when you look at the data, the average American's net worth is equal to their home equity. So you as a homeowner selling your home, you've taken the risk and you've paid the taxes and the insurance and the maintenance and all that. And if I sold my home, for instance, and this is not terribly uncommon, and I paid 6%, that'd be 30% of my home equity. When do you ever pay a 30% commission on anything?
I think the other way to respond to that when they say you get what you pay for is like, okay, tell me what you are paying for.
Right, and I wish more people would ask their realtor that, because the answer it might be open houses, and we don't do open houses. We don't.
Well, the dirty secret about open houses is that they're not intended to sell the house. They're intended to get new clients for the brokerage.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah. I know you probably couldn't, but that's the real reality.
We need you to be our spokesperson.
And for everyone in the neighborhood to go and look and see what's been.
Oh, heck yes. We all troll our neighbors' homes when they come on the market in an open house.
Yeah, open houses don't sell houses. And you're right. The dirty secret is that is for agents to find buyers. That's not to sell a house.
But because the person that camps out there during an open house is not the listing agent anyway.
Usually it's not. It's usually their assistant. Yeah.
It's their assistant, or it's a buyer agent on their team, or it's somebody else in the office. And in fact, the new agents in offices ask the listing agents who actually have listings, hey, can I do the open house in your house, of your listing, so that I can get some buyer clients? So,
wow.
Yeah.
I'm learning.
Yeah, and I think another thing that's interesting that they'll say is, don't use Door. They've got inexperienced agents. And we have a joke around the office. Whenever an agent gets on the phone and says, I've been in the business for 22 years and blah, 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 whenever they lead with the amount of decades they've been in the business, you know that's going to be a difficult transaction. And our joking, half-joking response is always, well, you started in the business before the internet existed, so how is that relevant?
It's a new day, huh?
Yeah, it's a new day. And I will admit, I haven't even had my license all that long. I've had it for going on 2 years. But we're comparing apples and oranges, because a 22 years of experience is not a proxy for how good you are at the transaction. It's not.
Well, especially if it's 1 year of experience repeated 22 times.
Exactly. And if you're doing 3 a year, okay, you've done 60 transactions in 20 years. Again, most of those pre-internet. And an agent at Door does 5 per month, and we've got a team, we've got infrastructure. It's not a bunch of agents competing against themselves at a brokerage. We're a very supportive group. And in their first 6 months at Door, an agent will have done more transactions than most agents have done in 5 years. So years are not a proxy for experience.
Full disclosure, I've been in the business 33 years. I had my license that long.
But you did not lead with that line.
All right, so I've seen in my neighborhood and a bunch of others, there's another company called Open Door with a blue sign. That's not you.
It's not us. No, in fact, I didn't know about Open Door till about 6 months after we picked Door, and we were just too far down the road, and we just said, well, let's see what happens. So I do like the name Door better, and I think it's probably been a net positive for us, because Open Door, and I think a lot Dropbox and Box and the enterprise storage system, is similar sort of thing. But
how are they different than you?
Open Door?
Yeah.
I think that at the end of the day, I don't love the Open Door model because I think it makes things worse for consumers. It ends up charging you 10 to 12%. They'll take a 6% fee, the traditional commission, quote unquote. They'll also take a market risk fee, is what they used to call it. I think they changed the name. And I went through this with my house because I wanted to see what it was like. I didn't sell my house, but they'll only go up to $500,000 homes, by the way. But on my house, 6% commission, 4% market risk fee, and then my understanding is generally there's a 1 to 2% fix fee at the end for fixing the issues with the home. So all in, you're talking 10 to 12% commission. So it makes it more expensive, and they gave me a below market offer. And when you think about it, they cannot exist. That model cannot exist without giving you a below market offer, because they have to make the spread, and they have holding cost, and they have to pay employees. So the only way they make money is by buying homes inexpensively and then selling them at the retail cost.
So they'll buy your house, or they'll act as your broker, either one?
They do both.
They do both,
yeah.
Okay.
And I think there's a place for the market. There's a place in the market for Open Door, and OfferPad is another one. Homevestors, We Buy Ugly Houses,
yes.
They've been around for a long time. But ultimately, they're looking for someone with some sort of financial duress. They have to be, because you have to have low market knowledge and financial duress. And if you need cash in 3 days, I mean, that's a great offer, because you get cash in 3 days.
So you have probably other people that are waking up to that the model that exists currently is broken. How do you make sure that you stay out ahead of whoever else is trying to come up with a similar type of concept.
Yeah, I mean, I want Door to disrupt Door, because I think 10 years from now, this whole market is going to be driven by software. And I think you hear real estate agents fall back on, oh, well, our personal relationship with our clients is what's really our differentiator. And I think in industry after industry and business after business, where personal relationships were once the moat around the castle, those disappear. That goes away. Because I don't know at what point your friendship with John Smith makes you use John Smith in terms of dollar value. You know, for $1,000, do you use your friend? Maybe. For $10,000, if you're going to save $10,000, are you going to use your friend? Probably not in a lot of cases. And I would even go a step further to say, if you're quote-unquote friend, and I call them expensive friends because I don't like the falling back on, oh, I'm your friend, use me as your real estate agent. But if an expensive friend who's a real estate agent isn't giving you money back when you buy a home, or isn't reducing their fee when you sell a home, Door, you don't even have to argue with us. We'll charge you $5,000. And I view it as a little bit of a misnomer to call yourself a friend and to say that you have a fiduciary duty to your client when you know that Door exists, and Door is going to save your friend $10,000, $5,000, heck, even $1,000.
That's an interesting twist to throw in the fiduciary comment, because I'm big on fiduciary.
Yeah.
In fact, you know, we only play on one side, the user side of commercial, because we don't want the conflicts of interest that playing both sides creates. So fiduciary is a big issue for me. But let's go a different direction. Tell us about raising money. You've raised quite a bit of money from investors. What's that experience been like?
It's been great, and it's been all high net worth people, primarily in DFW, although we just did a small A2 round with a venture capital firm out of Germany, actually, who has a lot of real estate tech holdings around the world. And it's been a great experience, and I think DFW is a fantastic market for that. I think that one of the things I've certainly learned is that it's a lot easier to raise money when you have revenue for a seed round.
Wow.
Yeah, amazing. Fundraising 101. For our seed round, it was basically an idea and a piece of paper and a bunch of people who, most of whom had invested with me before on some apartment deals I did. And they just, I think, were investing in me and the idea. And on the Series A round that we closed in March, we actually had revenue, and that made it a lot different. But you know, I read one of the most common issues with fundraising is that you just don't have product market fit, and you can't get traction in your market. And that's always been perplexing to me, because if you can't sell your product, why start the business? You're solving a need that doesn't exist. And I think that you hear about that quite often, and that's a perplexing issue for me when it comes to fundraising.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. We really enjoyed
Thank
it.
you.
Could go a lot longer. Please go to doorhomes.com to learn more, and go to nextlevelshow.com to learn about the show.
Have a great week.
See you next week.
Thanks, guys.
You have been listening to The Next Level, Conversations That Propel Business with Stephen Nooner and Bob Gibbons. Join us every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. for more prolific conversations that will take your business to the next level.